Um, so welcome everybody today. We are very lucky to be joined by another Olympian. We are carrying out lots of interviews, students are helping us, and we are honoured to have Anita Neal with us. Anita, if you give us a little brief explanation as to who you are.
My name is Anita Neal, and I ran in 2 Olympic Games in Mexico and Munich, in the 100 metres and the 4 by 100 metres relay. I also won 2 bronze medals in the European Games in Athens, a silver medal in the Commonwealth Games, and a world record plaque for the 4 by 110 yards relay.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't it? What an achievement. Amazing. Yes, so we're so fortunate to have you today, Anita. I'm very honoured to meet you. We have some students from Godfrey Primaries, 4 classes of Year 6 students, which is fantastic, and they've got some really amazing questions to ask you. And just to remind us all that we're running this as part of a project called Passing the Flame. It's a heritage lottery funded project. We're very lucky to have that funding. And we're just trying to capture the stories, the oral histories of Great British athletes who've competed for over the last 50, 60, 70 years, going back to, we've got the Olympics in 1908, 1948 and 2012 here in London in the UK. We were very fortunate to have that. And I know the students have some amazing questions to ask you, and I just wanted to bring to the forefront as Britain's first Black female Olympian, Anita, that it's almost 40 years since you represented Great Britain.
That's right.
As you said, you're a double Olympian, and just to highlight, I'm sure the students have picked this up, that you faced quite a bit of racism and experienced this directly during the 1948 Games when John Carlos and Tommy Smith gave
the 1968 Games.
Oh, 1968, apologies. 1968 Games.
John Carlos and Tommy Smith. Yes, that was quite exciting. Do you want me to tell you a little bit about it?
Yes, please. That'd be.
I was there in the stadium, and John Carlos and Tommy Smith, they came 1st and 3rd in the 200 metres. Very exciting race. But what was most exciting is when they stood on the podium, they had a black glove on and they raised their arm in the silent salute, and they also wore black socks and no trainers. This was to show poverty. But everybody was saying it's Black Power movement per se, but it was to show that in America they were being ignored. They didn't have the same rights as white people. They wanted equality, same as we all do. This is their big demonstration on the world stage. And of course, they paid a price because that was the end of their athletics career. But hopefully, we've moved on quite a bit from there.
Very, very courageous move. And well, we have moved on from there, but it has to be said, doesn't it, Anita, that when the Olympic torch went through Wellingborough, which is where you live, for the 2012 Games, you weren't invited to carry the torch, which is quite shocking, really. And considering that you're so significant in Great Britain for what you've achieved, and the path that you created for those Black female athletes that followed after you, I don't know if you wanted to add a bit around that, your significance in terms of that, what's happened since.
What, since the 2012?
Since you competed, Anita, and that pathway that you set up.
Yeah, well, I hope I've inspired a lot of people, black and white, because my background is very humble. I come from, my mum was left on her own with 5 children, and financially and educationally, we struggled. And I had a lot of help from my coach and teachers and other people. And because being mixed race was very difficult back then, especially. At one time, my sister and I were the only black children in the school. All the way through my schooling, I was the only black child in my class. You know, and nowadays it's so changed, which is great.
And in Newham, it's fantastic. And in Godwin School, I'm sure that we have so many ethnicities, so many young people from with different backgrounds, parents from different backgrounds. So it's great for Godwin students, I think, to learn about, you know, what's happened way back and all the things that we've had to go through in this country, as you're explaining. So I think we've got some fantastic questions from our classes, our year 6 students. So if we could bring them up, Miss Bramford, then I can ask Anita those questions if we have those to hand. Yes, brilliant. What inspired you to want to become an Olympian, Anita?
Well, I love sport and I was very, very good at it. As I was in my first competition at the age of 8, the school sports, and I won every race all the way through my school years. And the district sports and the county sports, and then went on to all England sports. I long jumped there and I won at the whole of all the schools in England. I won the long jump. So, I mean, I know I was pretty good, but I trained hard and worked hard because it's something I enjoyed. And if it wasn't for my coach, Roger Beesworth, and my mum, I'd have never have got to the Olympic Games, and other people helped along the way. It was great to participate. I felt proud and honoured to be an Olympian.
Thank you. And we have another question. Who supported you in achieving your dreams? Because you've talked about your hardships, Anita, and it is incredible what you managed to do. I think you were working. Is that yes, right?
I was working 36 hours a week at the age of 15 and training twice a week at school. So it was very, very difficult times. But my coach, he was an amazing coach, as my mum. If it wasn't for her as well, they supported me in every which way possible, and the rest of my siblings. And my coach, I mean, he trained me. I didn't pay him at all. He took time out from school to train me, and he took me to almost every single meeting that I participated in England. And my mum came to most of those as well. And we didn't pay him a penny in petrol money because we didn't have any money.
Wow.
And I thank him for that support. Bless him.
And building onto that, the students would like to know if there were charities that also helped you to travel to the Olympics. I mean, when we're going abroad, these accounts must have really mounted up, the costs.
No charities whatsoever helped me, because they didn't have them in those days like they do nowadays. I mean, a lot of the athletes are lottery funded, so they don't have to work like I did. I did get some trainers and a tracksuit from one of the sports people, but other than that, you were forking out a lot of things out of your own pocket. That's why I had to work. But travelling abroad and that, and competing for Great Britain, that was paid for. Otherwise, I'd have never afforded it, you know.
Wow, that's amazing. So we have another question about you watching Olympics before, previous games on TV. Now, when I've spoken to some residents in Newham, they spoke about watching games on Pathé News in the cinema. Yeah. So I think some students take it for granted that actually back then we didn't have Sky TV or BBC Sport or anything. There were other ways that
we didn't have colour television. It was black and white.
So how did you? So if you got to see sports, Anita, how did you do that? If you managed to see previous games?
Well, I was at school. I was 14. And our class, we went down to the school hall, sat on the stage with the curtains closed, and this gigantic television was wheeled in. And we were all excited because they said, you're going to watch some of the Olympic Games. And lo and behold, the person who I spied to, our person I idolised because she was so pretty and so outgoing and so talented was Mary Rand. And it was the Tokyo Olympic Games, 1964. And she won the long jump and she won other medals in other events. But she was the person that inspired me. And from there on, I said, I want to go there. I said to my friends, that looks fantastic. Imagine representing Great Britain at the Olympic Games. It was so exciting. And I think I set my mind to that. That was my dream.
And we've got a very interesting question, which students have obviously done their homework, Anita. Yes. And the question is, why did you hide your trophies?
Ah, now you've got me. Later on, I didn't want to even be reminded, I think. I shelved it all. And also because I felt they were safe, tucked away, to be honest.
So you were accomplished in many sports, from what we can find out about you. So did you have a favourite one?
I love the relay because it's teamwork. But of course, I love the 100 metres. But I also love long jumping as well, because I was very good at that at one time. But yeah, you know, I like many sports, even outside of athletics.
I imagine you
watch gymnastics, because I love that. And had I not done athletics, I'd love to have been a ballet dancer or a gymnast.
Another question, what challenges did you overcome to participate in the Olympics? If you were the first Black British female Olympian, I imagine that there were some challenges. So yeah, a little bit more about what you had to overcome to participate.
Well, as I was so young, when I became an international, I was only 16 years of age. I was the youngest on the team. I was the first Black female athlete representing Great Britain. And financially, because didn't have very much money, and having left school at 15, no qualifications, made up for it later on. Mm-hmm. But yes, I felt inadequate in that sense, but as an athlete, I knew I was up there with the rest of them.
I can imagine. And were the other competitors, your peers from Great Britain, were they much older than you then? Or was it a very young crowd?
They varied. I was the youngest at one time. And then, of course, the other people came along and they're probably a year or two older than myself. But yes, because they seemed so mature and they had excellent jobs, you know, like doctors and dentists and teachers. And there's me working in a factory as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old on piecework, slogging away 36 hours a week.
Incredible, incredible. Someone from 6W would like to know, how fast were you able to run?
I ran officially 11.3 for 100 metres and 11.2 unofficially.
Wow. And I think you held the record, you and your team, for the fastest relay. I don't know how long you held that for.
We won a plaque, which was handed out to us at Buckingham Palace because we broke the world record in the 4 by 110 yards relay. I felt great because breaking a world record, people don't do that every day. And having been honoured to go to Buckingham Palace to be presented by the Duke of Edinburgh with a plaque, was another honour. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Question from 6Z. Have your family members taken an interest in sport? So you talked about siblings. How many siblings did you have?
2 brothers and 2 sisters.
And
at school, my eldest brother, he used to play rugby. He was very, very good. My sister ran for the county sports, didn't continue because everybody compared them to me and they didn't like it. But yeah, I was, you know, quite outstanding and they just couldn't see their way forward and competing with their sibling.
So a question that often comes up is the sacrifices that you made to compete. Because I can see a question here from 6W saying, what did you enjoy doing in your spare time? And I know a lot of our athletes have said they didn't have any.
No, you don't. I think the sacrifice, well, I won't call it sacrifice because I enjoyed my athletics career. Going out with my friends, because having worked at the age of 15, I used to go to discotheques and things like that. And of course, I would stay in. And later on, they used to go to other clubs and have boyfriends and all that sort of thing. But I dedicated my life at that time to training and athletics.
So were you very disciplined on your diet, Anita? Chicken and chips on a Friday night, fish and chips?
Oh yes, fish and chips. I go down a treat. My main dietary was baked beans. Got protein in them.
And do you still do any sports? I've seen some fantastic pictures of you on the internet.
Yes, I do. I walk. I walk with a local walking club, Wendell Walking Club, and sometimes do a marathon charity walk. And I also do go to a Zumba class, well, before COVID. And I used to go dance class, and I intend to go yoga or Pilates when the class opens up again.
So not much.
No, not much.
A lot of activity.
Yeah.
And then I've got another question here. Just have to zoom. They're all flying in. Why did you take the decision to retire? I think this is a very good question, because you were quite young, weren't you, Anita?
Yes. It wasn't wholly my decision. My coach had family commitments, and not having a coach, I didn't have anywhere to train either, because it was at school premises and I couldn't be there on my own. I didn't have anybody to train with, and hence, you know, I didn't have a car, didn't drive, and couldn't get to the track meetings, and it was just so disappointing all around, really. So I still felt I had a lot to give, but everything around me, I just couldn't do anything about it.
Just shows you how much support you need.
I was competing from the age of 8.
Okay. Many more years then.
Yeah.
So for all you students out there, if you're year 6, you must be 10, 11. So there you go.
Yeah.
Never too early to start. What did the Duke of Edinburgh say to you when you met him?
He said, what position did you run in the relay? And of course, I ran first leg in the Olympic Games. Sometimes I'd run last leg in other international games.
And what was the reasoning behind that, so that you'd make a really quick start?
Yes, yeah, get out there, get the baton round first, hopefully.
Brilliant. And how did you celebrate your birthday when you were training, if you couldn't go out? Or you did go out, but not so often?
Well, actually, 2 or 3 times I was training at Lilleshall, because we used to go there for a week, and it was around my birthday. So I'd be celebrating with the other athletes, drinking a
nice
glass of Coca-Cola.
A glass of Coca-Cola. Well, that another one following on for that, from that was, what was your favourite food, and what was the best food for your training, Anita?
My mum used to cook some really nice meals. There's a Wellingborough meal called Ock and Dough, which was a crust all the way around the roast tin, roast potatoes, they're usually pork chops in the middle. But I haven't eaten meat for at least 30 years now.
And is that in relation to sport, or is that just...
No, I never did really like meat, ever. I never eat red meat, ever. But Heinz baked beans, that was my favourite. I used to have beans every day, at least for 3 years.
You'd have been a good promotion, wouldn't you, on their
Yes, exactly.
They could have sponsored you to continue.
Yes. I used to have them on Christmas Day, and my siblings used to moan, no, not them again.
I'm going to jump one question that links to that. So what would your average day be like when you were training for the Olympics, or for any competition?
Well, when I was training for the Olympics, I'd probably get up at 6:30, go to work for 8 o'clock, Sometimes work till 5 o'clock at night, get home at 6, have a light meal, go out training for an hour, hour and a half, a couple of times a week, sometimes at weekend. It was very, very tiring.
And were there any times when you wanted to quit? This is from 6W. Then times you wanted to, you must have had hard times. Did you get any injuries or felt a bit ill, or were there any times when you just felt it was too much?
Well, before I became an international, when I was 12, I had glandular fever. And at that time, they wanted me to participate in the county sports. And I wasn't feeling very well, but I forced myself to do it. And luckily enough, I won because I just did the long jump. But at that time, I knew I shouldn't have been competing. And there was other times when I didn't feel too good, but pushed yourself because you wanted to do it for yourself and for the country. And I thought about all the amount of effort, the training that I put into to get medals for my country. It was so, you put so much of yourself into it that you're not going to let anything stop you, really.
So on that note, we've got lots of more questions, but 6B would really like to know if you had any advice for children who would like to do sport professionally, or maybe even aim to be an Olympian.
Every day is a new opportunity. You've got to grasp it with both hands and try your hardest. Do the best you can and live your dream and enjoy.
And 6Z are asking, do you think whether things have changed in regards to sport and race? So attitudes to people of different races, different ethnic backgrounds or religions. Do you think things have changed?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think because I used to run I was the only non-white in my relay team. Now they're all black, So yeah, it changed a lot. People's attitude, it needed to. And when you're I know minority, one person in thousands, it was difficult at times.
And 6Z are also, they're asking, did you have another job too? So you talked about working during your training. Any other job too? What did you do when you? I don't know if this is a question asking what did you do when you retired?
Oh, I worked in various offices. I was a wages clerk, cashier, and a cost clerk, and I also worked in school.
What did you do in school, Anita?
I was learning support.
Oh, wow.
And it's a job which I thoroughly enjoyed. I think it's like teacher training now. I am a qualified BTEC nursery nurse, so I was working with children from 2 to 11 years of age, which was very satisfying. Yeah.
We all know how important and valuable assistants are in the classroom alongside teachers.
Yeah.
That's a very good job. Have we got any other questions coming through, guys? Would you like to talk to some of the pictures, Anita? If we flashed up some of the pictures, let's do that. So literally passing the baton. You were passing the baton back there. Passing the flame, as our project is called.
Yes.
So
that's the first time I met Mary Rand, the person who inspired me. My coach knew somebody in London, and he said, "Why don't you get her to join an athletics club?" I was 15 years of age, and so my coach took me to London Olympia's athletics club, and there I met Mary Rand, gold medalists, and wow, I was so nervous and excited at the same time. And you can see I've got my school shirt on there, my school blouse, because I didn't take any athletics equipment with me. I just thought I was going to go and meet her. And then somebody loaned me the shorts and they said, "Come on, let's see you run." And long jump, of course. And she thought I was very, very good and said, "Join our club. I'm sure you'll do well."
I just wanted to ask you, Anita, what you were running on. Because obviously we have Mondo
Oh,
now.
yes.
We have special running.
In those days, early on, we ran on a cinders track, which is a very, very soft track. It's like the ashes out of a fire all patted down. And of course, when it rained, you couldn't see the track because it was obliterated, just disappear. And also it made holes because you dig your spikes in as you're running. And it wasn't very good track. And it used to move, you see, whereas they've got synthetic rubber track and it's bouncy, more springy and much, much faster.
So you were wearing spikes back then?
Yes, long ones, really long. Now they're really short. Look at that lovely girl there.
Could be one of you guys out there in Godwin. Anyone?
Yeah, exactly. It's like looking in a mirror. That portrait was painted by one of the teachers at my old school, a Mr. Pack. I was 16 years of age. And that's me long jumping. I'm probably 17 or 18. And in the background is my old school. But as you can see, the run up on that long jump is so narrow. And that's cinders. And it wasn't very, the sand it wasn't very good either. It was so much lower than it should be. But, and you can see, look at my clothing, my shorts, big shorts and big top. Nowadays, they're so skimpy. And that's another, I was in a competition there, long jumping, somewhere in London.
And what was your longest long jump, Anita?
Officially, it was about 20 feet, 9 inches. But in training, I did 22 feet, 3.5.
And of course, it's all measured now in centimetres and metres.
Yes.
So that's the big difference as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, tell us about this picture. This looks fantastic.
Yes, I was 17 and I've been to Russia and it looks like I've won 2 medals.
Wow, look at all those badges on your kit as well.
Yeah, the white badge is one from Lilleshall, where we did training a week at a time, sometimes before big meetings. I think the footballers train there now. And that's my coach, bless him. That's a school gym. And I mean, he'd never have had to lift weights. I mean, look at the gyms nowadays. It was so quite primitive, really.
And why were you lifting those weights, Anita? What was the training there that you were doing?
I was doing weight training because in the winter you need a sort of different regime and weight training for strength.
And how old are you there?
Probably about 16, 17. And there I am sprinting.
Number
and the
4.
girl who's got number 2 on, she was one of my best friends, Valerie Pete. She was an excellent athlete as well. We were in the same relay team. We used to compete against each other. And she belonged to the Dorothy Hyman track club in Yorkshire. And Dorothy Hyman, she won medals in the Olympic Games.
And just looking at that, you're talking about your fellow female competitors. Were people equally interested in female athletes as male athletes? Do you think that's developed and there's become more interest, a bit like the female footballers now are given more attention? Was that?
I think there's more interest nowadays in female athletes, like you say, footballers. Yeah, all set for Mexico. Now I've got holding a pair of spikes there. I'm 18 there. I look very young.
They look very sharp, your spikes.
Yes. And they're not the longest length spikes either.
Oh, that's nice.
Can you, on the second one from the left, that's opening ceremony dress for the Commonwealth Games in Edinburgh. We look very smart, don't we?
Very smart.
We had for big competitions like the Olympics and the Commonwealth, the outfits were made to measure.
Wow. Do you still have all these?
I do.
Do you?
Yes.
So maybe sometime in the future we can actually get to see them in the flesh.
Yes, they were all on display at the Wellingborough Museum. during the Olympic Games this year. This is the tracksuit we wore at the Commonwealth Games. It's like I'm wearing a medal there.
You all look so young though, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. I was 20, probably that age, 22 when I was in that race. And the person who's I'm against there is Andrea Lynch, and she went on to win a medal in the Olympic Games, I think in Moscow. She was one of my rivals. And that one, I love that one. This is the Munich Olympics, and that's the opening ceremony dress. And I think I altered it to make it shorter. Quite a mini, isn't it? When I was 16, I was chosen to go to Cuba. There was only 8 of us to represent Great Britain. And I was shocked because I'd never been amongst so many black people. There was various shades. And I thought, I wonder how the white athletes feel, you know, because it switched around. It was the other way around for them. Welcome to my world. It's quite an experience, all of it.
I think we've seen some amazing pictures there. We're very, very fortunate. Just a few questions popped up as we were looking at your pictures. 6C were asking, did you ever consider coaching?
Yes, I did, but listen, in Wellingborough, we don't have a track. We don't have, they have 2 or 3 jogging groups, which only come about in the past, probably 15, 20 years, I don't know. But we don't have a track. And this is something I've always wanted. It means I'd have to travel 10 miles to go. Had it been here closer in Wellingborough, I'd love to have done.
Maybe you could go down and coach some of the Godwin students. I'm sure they'd love to.
Okay.
We'll have to make that happen. What was your favourite year in school? These guys are going to be moving on to secondary soon, so this is quite an interesting question.
Senior years. When I went to senior school, that was my favourite, because you suddenly find yourself growing up mentally and physically. And of course, I was the star. I had a coach, the PE teacher there was my coach. And I felt I had privileges because I was sports captain, house captain, and prefect. So that was jolly good.
Wow.
And I didn't have to go out in the playground when it was raining.
So inspirational, even as a student, Anita.
Yeah.
I don't know how you had the time to do all of that.
I don't.
And 6Z would like to know if you still have a medal, or yes, any of your medals, trophies.
Oh, I have. Yeah, I have.
You've got them out now, dusted them off.
I had to the museum, plus because of the newspaper people coming around. Yeah, I have hundreds of medals, trophies, certificates. Yeah, very proud of them.
I'm sure.
I do look at them now and again now.
Good. I'm sure we'd all love to see those. Hopefully we can get some nice images of those anyway.
Yeah.
I've been told that students would love that if you came down and coached them.
Oh yes. Okay.
Anything you wanted to add, Anita? You've talked about grabbing opportunities by both hands.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to add to that, in terms of sort of overcoming your challenges, or any other advice that you would give, especially nowadays, in our situation nowadays, as things have changed or opportunities have come up, and then we've had other challenges, haven't we?
It's like everything in life. If you don't go after what you want, you'll never have it, will you?
No.
So, yeah. Live the dream, enjoy, do your best, work hard in all things.
We've had another quick sneaky ones come through. So I'm going to ask you these in different order, but do you know why they didn't ask you to carry the Olympic torch?
I don't think they even thought about it.
No.
I just disappeared, I think.
And
no, not now, not ignored now.
What would you like to be remembered for? This is 6W. They'd like to ask, what would you like to be remembered for?
For the girl who gave it all. And I don't know. I'll leave it up to other people.
I think there are lots and lots of things that we could say that you should be remembered for, and you will be remembered for. I think we've got a picture of some medals. Andy's going to pop up now.
Yeah, that's taken in my sister's back garden actually this year.
So what's your earliest? Can you identify the earliest?
Those round ones, I was 14 and I think 15, because I was the best in Great Britain for my age. Yeah, I won the plaques for the All England School Championships.
What, the big rounds, like
round ones? Yes.
Wow, they're big, aren't they?
They are. And the two I'm holding are the bronze medals from the European Games for the 100 meters and the 4x100 meter relay.
Fantastic.
And the one in the blue box is a silver medal from the Commonwealth Games in Edinburgh.
Wow.
And in the red box is the world plaque that I received from the Duke of Edinburgh.
Brilliant. So maybe we can get some closer images of those, or maybe students, you could actually try and find some. Now you know the events that Anita competed in, some of the games that she competed in. On behalf of London Stadium Learning, Anita, we have been honoured to hear all about your achievements and the significance of your contributions to Great British athletics. And we hope to hear from you very soon. We'd like to see some more of your memorabilia and let students sort of get up close and really learn from some of the changes as well. I think some of the memorabilia demonstrate the changes that you've obviously gone through since being an athlete. So yes, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it and hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, all of you. Lovely to see you all.
Yes, thanks to all the students at Godwin, the Year 6 students.